Hey, what's up guys and welcome back to Anime Symbol, and today I'm going to be giving you a brand new series that I got so long ago. What if Naruto was a Ruthless Prodigy with young Kurama, guys? And no, I've not cancelled What If Naruto had All Blood Demon Art. I'm currently working on it as we speak, so there's nothing to worry about. So if you want your ideas done, just go ahead and comment down below and I'll be listing them down. However, if you enjoy this and you want to see part 2, go ahead and comment down below and tell me, and I'll be posting part 2 as soon as possible for you guys to enjoy. And if you're new and this is the first time you hear my voice, yes, I indeed have 3 more channels: Anime King, Anime King 2, and Making 3. All the links will be down in the description, so go ahead and click that red subscribe button and become a part of the Anime King family. And thank you for all of your help and your support. So without further ado or wasting more time, how about we jump right into this brand new episode? Let's begin now, guys. We begin this new series within the Hidden Leaf Village, Konoha, the strongest nation in the world. One of the most dangerous parts within the village was known as the Forest of Death, and that was because of the animals, especially at night. The creatures in there had grown exponentially due to a side effect from the past, and they have become vicious and ferocious. There was a large group of spiders, black and grey, sharp pincers. As they waited, all of their gaze was pointed upwards. They were below the cliff. However, at this moment, a boy was falling to his death. Yes, he was falling from an extremely high cliff. As he was dropping down, the leader of this little spider group was a much larger one. Its back was yellow and grey. As it opened its mouth, you saw the dripping venom as it prepared itself to rip into the boy's flesh. However, something happened in that moment. As the child was falling to his doom, his eyes finally snapped open, exposing blue to the world, a dark ocean blue. He slammed both of his legs on the wall as he was falling, but he lost his footing. He closed his eyes once more. As he turned, he started to count down into his mind how long it will take him to fall to his death. As he thrust his legs out, this time he came to a complete stop, his body jerking back slightly, as a chakra at the bottom of his foot sticked him to the wall. As he opened his eyes, he was just a small distance away from the vicious spiders, who was confused. That was until the boy pushed himself off the wall and flipped. As he came down, he flicked a kunai out of his pouch that he had on his waist. He thrust it downwards. The creature had enough sense to move out of the way until the boy used the chakra at the bottom of his feet to control the kunai and thrust it upwards. It split directly into the spider's skull as he landed on the tip of the kunai that was jetting out. As the body of the large beast fell, the others pounced. He used a chakra on his feet to pull the kunai out of the spider before he thrust it outwards, taking down another. He flipped in the air. As he did, red hair could be seen. He twirled. He spun, releasing 4 kunais and nailed 4 spiders in the process. As he landed right in the dead center, The spiders paused. As the boy stood there as he looked down, he felt the rumbling in the ground when suddenly, boom, something broke out of it. As it sent him into the sky, it was a massive centipede. As it was tall, stretching itself, its large body knocking away all the spiders. However, the boy did not fall. Instead, he gripped onto the antennas that came from its face. As he held on tightly and stood on the thing's mouth, he pulled himself up as he flipped and landed on its head. As he started to run, however, the thing started to shake. It threw him off, leaving him suspended in mid-air. The thing then turned its body and charged. It opened its mouth with the intent to swallow him whole. He started to take off his jacket. As he was wearing a black long-sleeve jacket, as he removed it, he pinned a kunai right to it before he thrust it right towards the head of the thing. However, it moved. The kunai stuck in the side of its face. It came bearing down upon him when suddenly he swapped places with one of the dead spiders. The thing looked rather confused. As it was able to see perfectly clearly, it heard a whistle as it looked down. He was now standing on the ground. The remaining spiders that was able to survive the onslaught saw their prey once again as a massive centipede charged downwards. He waited until the thing was close enough and the spiders were close enough. This time he substituted with a log. As he was on top of the wall looking down towards them, he then brought his hand up, his jacket that he had removed. There was 4 seals placed on it, 2 on the sleeve and 2 on the back. It started to glow. Boom! A sizable explosion rocked the foundation of the ground, blowing its head clean off and reducing all the spiders that remained to nothing but ashes. As the moonlight beat down on him, his full features were revealed. He possessed dark red hair. However, there was 2 bangs that came down at the side of his face, and they were both blonde, which gave him a rather unusual look. He stand out more than most people because of his unusual hair color. His eyes were dark blue. He was 12 years old, soon to be 13, as he was now dressed in a simple white t-shirt with black pants and sandals. As he looked down towards the destruction that he caused, when a voice spoke up in his head, allowing him to close his eyes, as he found himself inside of a familiar location. There was a massive beast situated behind giant bars, red eyes peering down towards him. As the boy gazed up, his real name was Naruto Uzumaki. As he looked up towards what many people believe was the most ferocious and deadliest beast to ever exist. However, to him, Kurama was his friend. Ever since he could remember, there has always been something there. Even when he cried as a child, something soothed him, something calmed him down. Ever since he could remember, there was a feeling that he just could not describe. For most of his life, he grew up without family, without friends. There was a few in his life, but nothing too impacting on his life, which was probably the reason why his personality and demeanor has mended this way. At first, he thought that it was his strange look that was a problem. No one else had the hairstyle that he possessed. Maybe that was the reason why the adults looked at him that way. Maybe that was the reason why some of the kids told him that their mothers or fathers told them that they could not be friends with him. That must be it, right? However, he found out when he was 6 years old why he was not the problem. It was what was sealed inside of him. The ferocious nine-tailed fox. It was an accident. He was meditating. That was another reason why he was different from most child. While most children tend to play or run around, Naruto was subdued, he was always calm, even in a rather dreadful situation, like earlier with the creatures. He never let emotions get in his way, which had allowed him to dull his emotions somewhat, as he always used his mind instead of getting worked up, instead of doing something rash that would lead him into a rather bad situation. He used his mind instead. Calm, breathe. It was a relaxing sensation that he focused on, thinking things through. He saw that on multiple occasions, with other children, how they reacted, how they behaved, and how he behaved and how he reacted. The only one that came close to being like him was Sasuke Uchiha. Maybe that's the reason why they got along. However, looking into Sasuke's background, you could tell why. His life has been hell after the Uchiha massacre. It had placed a great strain on him, mentally, emotionally as well. As Naruto gazed upwards, what have I told you about doing these suicidal runs? You already had the technique under control. Why did you have to jump off that damn cliff and right into that nest? Naruto stepped forward, gazing towards Kurama. Being able to walk on walls is good and all, however, what if in a dire situation I mess up? What if in a dire situation I'm unable to focus and I don't know the amount of chakra I need to use? I need for my body to be perfectly aligned with my mind, for my body to react without even using my mind to think on what I should do, to use the amount of chakra that is needed, nothing more, nothing less, to not waste any time. So there had to be danger, true and real danger, that would have cost me my life if I had failed. And what if you had failed, Kurama said, looking down towards him. As Naruto looked towards the fox, without saying anything for a while. I appreciate your concern. Or perhaps, you're just upset because you're not sure what will happen if I die. Because this seal is unknown to you, and maybe it will drag you along as well. Or maybe you just care about me. Kurama refused to speak, as Naruto cracked a smile, something that was rare, but he did it every now and again. I'll talk to you later, he said, as he left the mindscape, leaving Kurama there in silence. The fox had been through a lot, ever since being sealed into his former host. Being placed inside of this boy, the fourth Hokage had split his chakra. Yes, it wasn't only his chakra but a part of him. What happened truly shocked him. All he could hear was the crying. Yes, the crying in the beginning. It was so annoying, but there was this part of him that felt empathy. Something that surprised him. To be concerned, to care about a human. It shocked him to his very core. As he watched the boy grow, he always tried to do something to help, comfort him in his troublesome moments. Teething, growing up, he tried to use his chakra, knowing it was corrosive and deadly to most humans. He used it in a way to ensure the boy would not receive a side effect or backlash. A small droplet, not to infuse in the boy's system but just to spread around, to try to warm him up. Kurama could not believe, as he found himself becoming attached to this little human. He watched him grow. This seal was different than the other one. It was different. He could hear. He could see glimpses. It had to be what the fourth Hokage did to him, allowing him to become attached to this little human. It wasn't anyone else, thankfully, but he has watched this little human grow. He has watched everything around him shape him into something rather unique, something special. However, the child was smart. There was no one other than Kurama who truly knew what he could do. Kurama had seen glimpses in the past of ninjas that tried to fight him, and he'd seen things which he used to help the boy. The tree walking exercise was something that He was reminded of some time ago which he told him about just recently, and the boy was able to master it in a couple of hours. It was in the morning that they spoke, and tonight he had the technique fully on the wraps. This child was something special. What was the word? Yes, he was a prodigy. A prodigy amongst prodigy. But no one knew about that because the child did not trust easily. Even with people that think they were close to the boy, they were never actually truly close. Speaking of the Hokage knew about his existence, but he never bothered told the child, which creates some distance between them. But the Hokage was completely unaware of that, because this child was able to mask his emotions to a level that even surprised Kurama, not allowing rage, anger, or violence to temper with his mind. The child was also very insightful. He never ever asked him why he attacked the village. He never asked him, seeing that Kurama did not wish to speak about that. The boy did not even know who his parents were, as they've never had that conversation. For now he seemed resolute in doing what he was doing, but it was only a amount of time before he acts. But there was something else. It seems like he took majority of his mother's DNA and his mother's genes. But not only that, it seems like he became the most purest form of a Uzumaki, as he reminded Kurama of someone a very, very, very long time ago. Before Madara, before Hoshirama, Kurama had a friend. Yes, that was correct. A human friend. And this wasn't any ordinary individual. It was a Uzumaki. And now as he saw it, this boy had the purest form of the Uzumaki genes, which meant so much. It's only a matter of time before the entire world knows of his existence. The moment he's able to break free from the confines of this village, the moment he's actually going on missions, being actually trained, there would be nothing in this world that will be able to hold him back. Time skip. Sasuke Uchiha entered the class. His gaze fell towards the person at the back row. As he climbed the steps, Sasuke was early as he usually was. He usually tended to leave his home rather early for training or simply attending the academy. Today he decided not to do any early morning training because today was a very special test and he didn't want to be haggard or tired. Besides, it's not like he had anyone at home to talk to. Making his way up the stairs, asleep already, he said. As Naruto was sitting there, his head was down on the decks. He did not lift his head, but he did speak. I had a late night last night. What about you? What are you doing here usually? You tend to train or something in the morning. Didn't want to do anything too intensive. After all, I am going to be taking the academy test today. And I intend to pass because I'm not repeating the academy. I doubt it's going to be anything too intense. I mean, think about it. For the entire couple of years in the academy, they've not really taught us anything that is too important. So they can't really test us on anything too important. And we already did the written tests. I think that is already a big part of it. So you think it's going to be mostly physical? Yeah, I believe that is what is left. And think about all the jutsus that Iruka has taught us so far. Wait, if that's the case, the clone jutsu, he said, looking towards Naruto. Don't worry, I have that handled. Upon saying that, Sasuke sat down nearby, as other kids started to flood into the class. The clone jutsu was always a problem for Naruto. And the reason is simple. The clone jutsu require a small amount of chakra. And Naruto had so much chakra. Well, it was a problem 3 years ago. 1 year, 9 months, and 2 weeks. Naruto did nothing but chakra control exercises over and over and over and over and over and over. Nothing else, nothing more. When he put his mind to something, he can truly become stuck on that target until he got his completion, and he was confident in how far he has reached. After all, comparing Naruto to the kids in the academy was like comparing a small cup of water to an ocean. Chakra-wise, that was the gap between them. A small cup of water to a literal ocean, except for a special few. But even then, they still had nowhere close the same amount of chakra that Naruto possessed. One by one, the class was being filled, as many of the fangirls came inside, praying and hoping that they would be placed on Sasuke's team, as they heard that they would be placed in a team together with more than one members. However, there was some in the class that was hoping that they would be placed with Naruto Uzumaki as well. While majority of them favor Sasuke, Naruto had a rather quiet, mysterious charm the majority of them were crazy about, not to mention the bad boy aspect. Some of the civilians, their parents had told them to stay away from him, but not the clan members. And there was this rumor that he was dangerous, and many of them like him because of that, and him not being too talkative, and not to mention being friends with Sasuke. Yes, some of them like him a lot. After a few minutes, Iruka finally came in. "Alright everyone, quiet down," he said. "Yeah, today's a good day," Kiba Inuzaka said as he kicked back. "Gonna pass the academy then. Gonna become a Genin. Then I'm gonna become a Chunin. Then I'm gonna become a Jonin. Then, who knows? Maybe Hokage. I am awesome that way. Don't you think, Akamaru?" Akamaru barked on top of his head, his little puppy. As Naruto was seated in the center, on the other side was Shikamaru Nara, as he was in the process of sleeping as well, as his head was down. "Hey, you two," Kiba said. "I don't think today should be the day that you sleep. You guys might mess up your chances of passing the academy, and might get to repeat," he said with a laughing manner. However, either of them did not even look his way, as they proceed to ignore him, still sleeping as it is. However, Naruto, Shikamaru, they were awoken by Iruka. "It's time to wake up," he said. "None of that sleeping. You will be participating in a test that will determine your future from now on. So focus up, both of you." As Shikamaru leaned back, released a sigh as he mumbled troublesome under his breath. As for Naruto, he lifted his head up. However, his eyes were not visible, because his hair came down in his face. The two spiky blondes, it rushed down to the side of his face, while the rest of it was red. However, his eyes were not visible. His hair covered most of it. As Iruka started to list off the students, while Naruto had great achievements under his belt, no one in the academy knew of that. After all, he wasn't even nowhere near top 5, not even top 10, not even top 20. The only person that knew that Naruto was holding back was Sasuke, not including Kurama. He was the only person, because they have sparred before, and Sasuke was truly shocked on that day. Speaking of their friendship, the both of them being quiet and always sticking to themselves, it was sometime after the Uchiha massacre where Naruto found the Uchiha training in a training ground that he came to visit. No words were said between the two. They just started to fight, as the both of them were here for one reason, as they were here to upgrade their skills, and they just started to fight like they understand each other with a gaze. From that day on, they became friends. Naruto was the only one that Sasuke could confidently call a friend, as he did not really tolerate majority of the people in the academy, especially the annoying fangirls. As Iruka went through the names, Naruto finally heard his name as he made his way off and stepped into the other room. Time skip. Naruto was drenched with sweat as he lay on his back, taking in several deep breaths. Resting beside him was a sword. It was a simple katana. There was nothing special about it, even one as simple as this. It was expensive. He got a monthly stipend from the Hokage, therefore, he had to be very careful when it came to unnecessary spending. However, the style that he was going for was one that he could use weapons, and also one that he could use his bare hands in case his weapon was ever destroyed or someone was able to nab it away from him. As his mind always processed every single scenario, it doesn't matter how bad of a chance it would happen. Naruto reached up as his hair was no longer in his eyes because of his proud new headband situated on his forehead. As it glistened, the moonlight shined down towards it. He lay there covered in sweat, his blade beside him. He was exhausted. That is when he finally heard it. The alarm going off. He has been doing this for the past 5 hours. He was working on his own fighting style. He has been on it for a few years now. Every time he found something else, he refined it. He changed it, made it better and better and better. As Naruto lay there, cooling off, as the place started to release a cool, lavish breeze, which brought a smile to his face. He lay there for the next hour and a half before he finally got up. He almost fell asleep. The place was cool and dark. However, he was in a forest. Luckily, there was no vicious or dangerous animals in this forest. Picking himself up, Naruto sheathed the blade as he decided to head back home. He really gotta stop staying out this late because he would be exhausted the next morning. As Naruto was making his way back, he noticed the hut. Yes, there was a small hut out here. He had no idea who owned it, but it was always empty. However, surprisingly, the door was open. He was confused. Suddenly, someone fell out of it. Yes, they fell, crashing to the ground, as there was a massive Fuma shuriken embedded in their back. Naruto was surprised, however, it never showed on his face. The person was wearing a chunin jacket. Stepping over him and ripping the Fuma shuriken out was Mizuki. Naruto couldn't believe it. That is when he picked up something from inside the hut. It was a massive scroll. As he started to attach something to it and tied it over his back, he then gazed down. Sorry about that, but you've done what I needed you to do already. The only one that's gonna get the power I deserve is me. No one else, he said with a smirk. Naruto has seen that scroll before. And you remember the Hokage himself saying how dangerous that scroll was if it fall in the wrong hands. As Naruto's mind immediately understood what was going on. Kurama, he said, relaying the information to the fox. Are you going to try and stop him? Kurama asked as Mizuki was preparing to leave. Mizuki was one of them that did not like him for what he possessed. Naruto unsheathed his blade. However, he stopped. He sheathed back the blade as he took it off and placed it down. I'm gonna stop him, he said. Mizuki was about to leave until he heard something. Immediately, the Fuma shuriken that he had, he gripped it tightly until Naruto stepped out of the foliage, having dirt and grime on him and looking tired and exhausted. Mizuki put away the Fuma shuriken. Naruto, he said, sounding surprised, which he really was. What are you doing here? As Naruto stepped towards him, he had a stone in his hand. I was doing some late night training. What are you doing here, sensei? And who is that? Naruto said, feigning surprise. Oh, him. He's a traitor. He attacked me. He was trying to steal this scroll, Mizuki said, and I stopped him. Right now, the entire village is on a hunt for this person. Oh, are you alright? Naruto asks. Yeah, I'm fine. Come on. Let's get back to the village and get out of here. I don't know if he had any other accomplices. Yeah, said Naruto, making his way towards him. As Naruto got close, Mizuki reached for the Fuma shuriken, however, poof! The stone in Naruto's hand transformed into a kunai. Mizuki's eyes went wide as he jumped away. However, not before Naruto slashed him across the waist. He gripped his waist in shock as he saw the look in Naruto's eyes. "How did you know?" he said. "I saw you," Naruto said. "And here I was about to give you a quick and easy death. Just for that, I think I'm going to tell you something," Mizuki said, hoping that this would be enough of a distraction to take him out quickly. While he was a Chunin and believed that Naruto was nothing compared to him, he believed it was still justified. "Do you want to know why the people of the village always give you those strange looks? Or why they told their children not to play with you? It's simple. It's because you're the..." Mizuki had to jump away as Naruto launched a kunai directly to his skull. Without hesitation. "You damn brat. I already know I'm the Jinjulki of the Kyuubi," said Naruto. "I'm not here to talk." Naruto ran forward. "You cocky piece of shit. Just because you're a genin now you believe that you can take me down," Mizuki said. "Well, you made a mistake because you've just ended your career and ended your life. Tonight I will put an end to what the Fortokage started all those years ago." He took the Fuma shuriken off his back and sailed it towards Naruto. Naruto's eyes widened as the thing slammed into him. It threw him as he crashed into the tree. Mizuki smirked as he jumped down and approached. "That's what you get. All of your hopes and dreams flushed away because you were too nosy not to run away. What did you think was gonna happen? I'm a Chunin. You're just a demonic brat." As Mizuki got close, he reached to rip Naruto's headband off, just as a sign to show that he was the better, until Naruto sprang up and slammed his forehead into his nose, shattering it in the process. Mizuki backtracked as his eyes then saw the Fuma shuriken with no blood on it. What the hell? But when did he? Naruto did not stop as he jumped and wrapped his legs around Mizuki's neck and pulled downwards. He dropped the both of them to the ground. When Mizuki threw the Fuma shuriken, Naruto had waited for the perfect moment. As he placed the kunai under his shirt, it was a kunai that made contact with it, and he allowed himself to be thrown. It did not hit flesh. He needed to draw him in. Mizuki was a bit dazed from the hit as Naruto held him down. However, the man was physically taller than Naruto, and also a bit stronger as well because of Naruto's small frame. He rolled over, pulling himself up. Upon doing that though, Naruto released him and kicked him, further aggravating his nose. Naruto then punched him in the same spot, once again and again. He staggered back. Everything was a blur. The constant hitting in that spot was truly messing with him, as he was unable to properly stand. Naruto grabbed his right hand and pulled down, forcing himself upwards as he spun and delivered a brutal kick. Mizuki's head snapped to the side. Blood and spit flew. Naruto flipped over his shoulder and grabbed him by the hair and yanked him downwards. Naruto held his knee out as Mizuki's back crashed into it. The man cried out in pain as Naruto flipped over him and stepped into his face, crashing his head down to the ground. His eyes were empty, like there was no soul in them. Mizuki underestimated him, and now he was paying with his life. Naruto started to step down on him, again and again and again and again. He was stepping on him, stepping in his face again and again and again and again. He did not stop, over and over and over, until his feet was bloody. "Kid, snap out of it." It was Kurama's voice that jolted him awake from the state that he was in. As Naruto stood there, he looked at himself and looked down towards Mizuki, who was bloody, beaten, and he was not moving. As Naruto stood there, looking at him, No words left his lips. He just looked at the corpse. Mizuki was a traitor. He was going to betray his own village. He even killed a ninja of their village. Granted, from the conversation it sounds like that ninja was helping him. So he betrayed those that he promised they can trust him. Naruto was not justifying his actions. However, most people, when they first take a life, there was supposed to be something. Regret. Knowing that you were able to snuff out someone's life. Knowing that you could take them down just like that. That you end someone and they were gone. However, all Naruto was confused. Because he did not feel anything. He didn't feel upset with himself. If anything, he feel justified. Justified in knowing that Mizuki deserved what happened to him. Because if he did not kill him, he was going to be the one that would be lying there on the ground dead. So no, he did not feel empathy for this man who wanted to take his life. He was okay with the decision that he made, despite it being a horrendous one. That is when his gaze spotted the scroll, slowly making his way over towards it. Naruto reached it. As he just looked down toward the scroll, he unraveled it without a second thought, and his eyes saw things that surprised him. He had tried to get majority of his information from the library, but most sections were restricted and heavily guarded because they did not want Genins or children doing things dangerous. However, as Naruto looked through the scroll, he was shocked at the extremely advanced techniques that he came across. "Hey kid," Kurama spoke up. "What are you planning on doing with that?" All Naruto did was look down towards it. "I don't know yet," he said. Time skip. An hour and a half later, the envoys that were making their way. As there were many forests in and outside of the village, and the village was extremely large, so it took them a while to arrive towards the scene. However, as they arrived, before they could even enter the forest, they saw someone dragging something. Immediately, all of them landed, and what they saw indeed surprised them. A young boy, no older than 13, dragging someone's leg and holding the forbidden scroll in his hand. Weapons were about to be drawn as they saw the scroll. As they saw the dead corpse of the Chunin. As Naruto gaze looked up towards them. Time skip. Hiruzen Sarutobi made his way. The door opened by one of the masked ninjas as he stepped inside. "Naruto, are you alright?" he asked, the concern on his face. "I'm fine," said Naruto. The child's hands and legs were covered in blood, but none of it was his. "I was told how they found you. Tell me, what happened?" he said. "I was training in the forest when I saw Mizuki stabbed another with a Fuma shuriken. I then heard him say that the power that he will get is all his. I confronted him. The time you brought me to the office, when we spoke about me joining the academy, I remember I followed you down to the basement when you showed me that photo of top ninjas that had to go to the academy as well. I saw that scroll, and you told me that it was a forbidden scroll that was sacred to the village, and if it was to leave said village, it would be bad. So I reacted. He told me that I was a host of the Nine Tails, that I am the beast." Hiruzen got a shocked look on his face as Naruto said that with a plain face. "We fought. He underestimated me, and I killed him," said Naruto. Throughout the whole conversation, his emotion did not change even once. His gaze and tone was completely stable. If he was lying to him, Hiruzen could not tell if the child was lying or not. "Naruto, let me explain. What he said to you was not reality. Hiruzen knew that Naruto was a smart child. He's seen that a long time ago. The way he spoke, the way he carried himself. You are not the nine-tailed fox. However, there is some truth to his words. The beast is sealed inside of you. That story that you were told about the fourth Hokage defeating the nine tails was not truthful. He sealed it into an infant to protect the village, to keep everyone and everything safe. You were chosen. Oh, said Naruto. Hiruzen waited for another response. Something. Anger. Confusion. Sadness. Is that it? He said as he wanted to know what else Naruto was thinking. I did have a look in the scroll. The temptation was just too much. Naruto brought his hand together, and several clones appeared in the room. Hiruzen was surprised. I was able to learn that technique in the time frame that I had. Hiruzen looked towards Naruto. As he looked rather shocked. The boy was able to master a technique like that, and after creating so much clones, there was not even a dip, given how perfectly stable he was. Hiruzen pulled a chair as Naruto dispelled the clones, as he needed to talk with Naruto to make sure that he understand. After all, his world was being opened up to a lot right now. Time skip. The old man tried to make it perfectly clear that he was not the fox, that he was just a vessel. He tried his hardest to make it seem like what was done was for the betterment of the village. However, Hiruzen was confused because Naruto did not react how he thought. He knew that Naruto had a good grasp on his emotions, but this was more than he expected of the child. Also, even underestimation, Mizuki still lost. A Chunin versus a new Genin. Not to mention Naruto killed someone for the first time, as Hiruzen tried to talk him through it. Hiruzen started to get worried, as he wondered if he should book an appointment with Inoichi to see if Naruto was mentally okay. He would have to watch him for a couple of days to make sure that he was dealing with this well, so he set an envoy to watch him. Arriving back at the academy, no one spoke about Mizuki or what he did, as Aruka had gave him a look, but it seems like he understood what was happening already. Naruto sat down. He still didn't feel anything. No remorse, no empathy. Is something wrong with me? Naruto asked. Of course not, Kurama said. He deserved what he got. Besides, he was trying to kill you, remember? I know. I don't really care much that I killed him. I'm confused why I haven't felt anything. I still took a life. I thought there would be something, some emotional disturbance, something. But there is nothing at all, Naruto said. As he leaned back, watching Aruka speak. You're just fine, kid. You just know what to do, when to do it, even if it might seem difficult to most. As Naruto closed his eyes, you're probably right. After all, I've based my entire life on knowing what to do and when to do it. I don't act on emotions. I act on logic, said Naruto, and reasoning. With that, he finally relaxed. As Aruka called his name, Naruto opened his eyes when he heard Sakura Haruno. A bit confused because he wasn't paying attention. As Sakura was on her feet, she cheered out loud before she looked embarrassed, and then she proceeded to sit back down. Naruto wasn't quite sure what was going on, or what just happened. That was until he heard the other teams being chosen. So he was on a team with Sakura Haruno. He had to say, he didn't like that. The girl was annoying. She was unfit to be a ninja. She was truly destined to fail. All she did was focus on Sasuke. She had a bit of knowledge. However, in terms of physical and anything else, She was useless. And now that you've killed someone, he see how easy it is to die. Mizuki underestimated him, but unlike him, she didn't have any strength to back up anything at all. She didn't know how to protect herself, so having her on the team would just be dragging them down. The best thing for her to do right now was to give up on being a kunoichi and do some other kind of work, because if she continued down this path, she will die. No if or but, she will die. As the class started to get clear out by, the other Jonins coming to collect their students. Let me guess, Sasuke said, "You have no idea who else is on your team." "What are you talking about?" said Naruto. "I saw when your eyes opened, and I know that you weren't paying attention," Sasuke said. "But I do know," said Naruto. "You're the one on my team. You're just saying that because we're the last one left inside." Why out of all the others do we have to get the late sensei? "Maybe we're cursed," said Naruto, as he slowly got to his feet, and his gaze fell on Sakura. Sakura was rather surprised, as he did not look away. However, she found herself unable to do the same. She thought that he would look away, but no, he was not. He was just staring at her, as the both of them looked at each other for an extremely long amount of time, to the point that Sasuke was getting uncomfortable, wondering what the hell was going on. As Naruto then turned his gaze away and looked through the window. "What the hell was that?" Sasuke asked. "She's going to die," said Naruto. Sasuke was heavily confused. Are you going to kill her?" he said in confusion, not understanding where that came from. "That's not what I mean. I recently killed someone," said Naruto. You what?" "It was a traitor to this village. He stole something important. Upon confronting him, he tried to kill me. So I killed him," said Naruto. As he was not speaking loudly, Sakura could not hear them. "When was this?" Sasuke asked. "Recently," said Naruto. "He underestimated me, and that is why he died. That girl, on the other hand, she's weak, immature. She doesn't understand how truly dangerous this world is. You do, and now I can see more clearly than before. She's going to die out there." Sasuke turned his gaze as he looked towards Sakura, who was looking away, blushing, as she saw her Sasuke-kun looking at her. She did not interact with them because, well, she didn't really know Naruto. However, she had the largest crush on Sasuke. However, Naruto, on the other hand, he wasn't bad looking, but he just wasn't Sasuke-kun, she thought to herself. Sasuke sat down as they waited, as he thought about what Naruto said. She was on their team, and Naruto was confident in his belief that she was going to die. What should he say about that? What should he do about that? He didn't really know her, but she was an innocent girl, right? A very annoying one, but innocent. Sometimes Naruto says certain things that were extremely dark, but they can be avoided. He was sure that he was the only one that Naruto spoke to like this, as he didn't really seem to get along with anyone else. Same for himself. As he was lost in his thoughts, he did not notice the time ticking by when the man finally arrived. As he stepped inside, his interaction with them was one of boredom, judging by the look reflecting from that eye. He told them to meet him on the roof. When they got to said roof, they all sat down. As Kakashi Hatake, I smiled at them. "Well, this is much better," he said. "How about we start with some introductions, so that we can get to know one another." "About what, Sensei?" "You know, your likes, dislikes, hobbies, dreams, and all of that." "How about you go first, Sensei?" Sakura said. Kakashi sighed but inclined, as he barely told them anything about himself. In fact, the only thing that he did told them was his name. "You're next, Pinky," he said. "My name is not Pinky. It's Sakura Haruno," she said. As she started to think about it, Kakashi glanced towards Naruto. Hiruzen had recently told him about what had happened with the child. Hiruzen had a walk with him, and he had showed him the situations of the three kids that he would be placing on a team with him. Naruto's house was rather odd. Everything was structured down to the very detail. Even the things in his fridge and his cabinet. Everything was perfectly aligned. He wondered if the child had OCD or something. However, Hiruzen said that he was just very critical of everything around him. Sasuke's house was clean and mandatory. He didn't get to see Sakura's, but he did meet her parents. However, Kakashi noticed that the more Sakura spoke, the more Naruto looked at her. Kakashi was in this for a long time now, but he was confused. It was the emotions. He couldn't understand the emotions on Naruto's face. They just did not seem right. Something seemed really off. He saw no sadness, no happiness, no anger. He just could not define the look. Sasuke was next. His thing was clear, and what he desired. After that, Naruto was next. Naruto stared at Kakashi for a full 30 seconds before he spoke. As Kakashi realized, before the child does anything, he weighed the option in his mind. However, that could be very bad, especially on the battlefield, thinking before moving. However, Kakashi had no idea that Naruto was working on the opposite. My name is Naruto Uzumaki. I like a few things. I dislike a few things as well. Naruto said, not giving any specific details. I'm still young. I'm not sure where I fit in this world. I don't know my hopes or dreams for the future. Well, that's okay, said Kakashi. Not everyone has... No, it's not, said Naruto, cutting him off. He turned his gaze as he looked directly towards Sakura. It's not okay to not know what you want to do. This world is very dangerous. People can die just like that. Stepping into something that you're not ready for, something that you're not prepared for, will only get you killed. And wasting your life is not something that you should do. Especially if you have some people around that actually care for you. Someone that will mourn your existence and cry for you. So no, it's not a good thing to not have a dream or goal. Perhaps that should be what I should be aspiring for. Finding a dream and a goal, said Naruto. His words along with his tone was rather dark, causing Sakura to clam up a bit. She's never really took stock of him before, but now, his words alone, they scared her. Even Sasuke was looking at Naruto strangely. This had to do with what he said earlier about her, that she would die. Time skip. Sakura was the first to arrive, as she wanted to be there early. Naruto's words had went through one ear and went through another. She didn't really focus on them until she saw him. He was the second person to arrive. Sasuke was not here. Now she started to remember his words. As he walked up towards her, she greeted him with a pleasant smile. Good morning, Naruto, she said. Can I ask you something? He spoke right away. Sure, she said to him. What made you decide to become a ninja, he asked. As he looked at her, of all the questions, she was not expecting that one, as she wasn't sure what to say. As she thought about it, the main reason why she became a ninja was because Sasuke became a ninja. As she remembered seeing him before she even joined the academy. She remembered hearing him talk to some others. She remembered Ino. That was before they were friends, talking about the cute Uchiha. And she decided that she wanted to become a ninja. People that she knew was already going to be there. And not to mention, Sasuke, even from that time, she liked him. As that brought a smile to her face. Naruto's gaze narrowed as he saw that smile. Her reaction was always like that around Sasuke. Could it really be, Naruto thought to himself? Is that really the reason, he thought, as he just looked at her? Before you answer, I'm going to kill you, he said. Sakura paused, wondering if she was hearing things. Oh, what do you say? She said, confused. When he pulled the kunai out of his pouch, she took a step back as he threw it towards her feet. She looked up towards him as she was now afraid. No one else was here. What are you doing? She said. I said, I'm going to kill you, said Naruto. And if you don't take that up and fight me, Naruto said as he took the sword off his back and unsheathed it, you're going to die. You will never see the people you ever love again. You're just going to die. He started to walk towards her as she backed away. Unfortunately, she tripped over her own feet. Stop this. This is not a joke. Stop it, she yelled at him. You think this is a game? You think this is a joke? Well, I guess you're just gonna die. Naruto, stop it, you're scaring me, she screamed at him as he raised the blade and stepped forward. Sakura screamed as she closed her eyes. However, she felt nothing. Nothing at all. When she opened her eyes, Naruto stood there. The blade was no longer in his hand. It was sheathed on his back. Kakashi Hatake, who had been watching the group to see their interaction, was about to jump in, but he paused where he was as Sasuke arrived. Sakura had tears in her eyes. Why would you do that? She said, on the verge of tearing up. Naruto stepped forward as he picked up his kunai and placed it back in its holster. He then turned and walked away. As he did not even look at her, Naruto's gaze expanded outwards. Kakashi was hiding behind a tree branch. Did he see me? No, that's not possible, he thought to himself, as Naruto walked away and simply sat down by himself and closed his eyes. As he started to speak to Kurama, Sakura got away from him. She had no idea what he was trying to prove. Was he trying to test her or something? She didn't really care. She wasn't his friend and she wanted nothing to do with him. As she sat to the side, she was gonna tell the sensei on what he tried to do. She made sure to stay a long distance away from him. As she breathed a sigh of relief when she saw Sasuke arriving, she tried to put the feelings behind her. Morning, Sasuke-kun. However, Naruto did not react, because none of this was about emotions. It was just about seeing if she was gonna hold their team down. And this girl will be a liability. But it doesn't really matter now, does it? She was going to die, and that wasn't really his problem. Sasuke arrived as he sat and waited. Kakashi arrived 2 hours later, as he had been watching the group just to see how they would interact with one another. So far, things are not looking good at all. The moment he arrived, Sensei, Naruto tried to kill me, Sakura said as she got to her feet. Sasuke blinked in surprise as he looked towards Naruto like he was crazy. Naruto, is this true? He asked. Naruto turned his gaze towards Kakashi. No, it's not. It's true. He said that he was going to kill me. He even raised that blade at me, she said, pointing towards the blade that was on his back. Why would she lie about something like that? I think she wouldn't. Now tell me, what did you try to do, said Kakashi. She is right about one thing. My actions, that I did move towards her. However, I was never trying to kill her. Then why did you do it? Because she's going to die, said Naruto. What? Said Kakashi, looking at him. She's weak. She has no purpose. She has no motivation, no drive. The only thing that she concerned herself about is Sasuke. If you see her as someone that he would ever like. As far as I'm concerned, Sasuke isn't even thinking of her. I doubt that he knows a single thing about her. I doubt that he even spent a single thought in his mind focusing on her. However, that is what drives her. Emotions. And because of that, she's gonna die. I was never going to strike her down. I wanted to see for myself if she would fight back. But even with death facing her, she chose to close her eyes and scream instead of taking the kunai and trying to protect herself. So, I simply wanted to test something. Naruto stepped towards her as she stepped back. I apologize if you mistook my actions. However, my acting was rather solid, so I do apologize, but there is no other excuse that I will make for you staying on this team. Because you will die out there, said Naruto. Because while I never intended on striking you down, others will not hesitate. I know what you were trying to do, but that's not your call. So I never want to hear that you did something like that ever again. Do you understand me? Said Kakashi. Yes, sir, said Naruto. Kakashi had noticed that throughout that conversation, his tone did not raise. Anger, sadness, nothing. He was just calm. From what he had saw, the kid had emotions. Yes, but he had such a good control over them. Now he understand why his room was like that. How everything was set. He was precise, thoughtful. However, his actions, because he did not see things as an emotional standpoint, could be looked on as rather ruthless. Yes, incredibly so. Kakashi hated that because the main point of this test was to see if they could work together. However, from what he got, this kid would not budge on what he believed. As he wondered if they will not meet his expectations. Well, he was gonna have to try. Now that that's over with, let's get back to the task at hand. Sakura felt more resolute, hearing Sensei shout at him like that to never do it again. As her mind was now focused on what he said. As much as she tried to shake it away, she was focused on what he said. Alright, the test today is for you to get this bell. As he held out 2 bells. Your job is to get one of these bells by noon. If you don't have a bell in your possession by then, you will be sent back to the academy. But, Sensei, there's only 2 bells. Exactly, that means one of you will be sent back. Either way, Sakura eyes widened at that, as Kakashi explained a bit further before, giving them the marker. And remember, come at me with the intent to kill, otherwise you will fail. Now, begin, he said. With that, all of them move off. Kakashi stood there, as he wanted to see, hoping that they would prove to him that they were worthy of him taking them on. Sakura found herself alone. As she sat there, her mind a whirl of problems right now. Sasuke-kun was strong, fast, smart. He was the top boy in the class. And from what she can see, Naruto was willing to do whatever to get things done. That leaves her. She's gonna be kicked out. She's going to fail. Naruto's words from earlier came to her mind. Why did she become a ninja? Was he right? Was she truly not meant for this? Was all she did was focus on Sasuke, and did that make her pathetic? She thought. She sat there, going through a lot. For the next 10 minutes, her mind swirled with confusion. Her mind swirled with thoughts of failure. Her parents were so proud when they were rather worried about her going into the field at first. But now they had full faith and confidence in her to be a kunoichi. She remembered her mother saying that she would be an awesome kunoichi. An amazing one to revolutionize the word kunoichi itself. To have her name be talked about in the history. Her father had kissed her on the forehead and told her that he wished her luck and he would always be by her side. Doesn't matter what. All of their praises, all of their glories. But all she did was spend time focusing on Sasuke. And nothing else. She was smart. However, she wasn't capable of doing anything. She wasn't fast, she wasn't strong. All of the fights in the academy she always lost. She barely had any of the techniques down. She didn't know anything else. And at the level that she was, and if she keep on operating like this, she was gonna die. And what he said about Sasuke as well, not caring about her. Because right now Sasuke was probably focused on being a ninja. And yet here she was. As she sat there in misery for an extremely long time. She then saw something as Naruto was walking out. Kakashi turned as he saw the boy. Coming to face me one-on-one. Do you really think that's a good idea? I'm not here for the bell, said Naruto. After all, we both know if I were to take one, I would still fail. Kakashi narrowed his gaze when he heard that. I'm here to see how I match up against a Jonin. I had the challenge of facing a Chunin. While I did caught him off guard, I want to see how I can stand against a Jonin, face to face, knowing that my intention is to kill him. As the look in Naruto's eyes changed, it seems like his body became unresponsive. However, he was more responsive than ever as he stopped talking as he pulled his blade and swirled it. Kakashi narrowed his gaze. The boy's foot and his hands, his body became relaxed. He then sped forward. Kakashi was surprised by Naruto's speed as Naruto was now in front of him, as he swung the blade straight toward his neck. But guys, be and subscribe right here. If you want to see the next person, do like, subscribe, comment down below, and turn on that bell notification to stay posted. But I'm off and I'll see you guys soon. Peace.